everybody. Urban Wrestling Federation Street King. I enjoyed this show. Actually, I'll be honest. I had a love-hate relationship with the show.
I don't know. It was better than the first show, but not as good as the second.
The empty arena match absolutely sucked. Like, one of the worst matches of all time.
It was
not like it wasn't like a Jenna Maraska match.
No.
Here's what it was. Now we'll get into it. Let's start at the beginning here.
All right.
If we can even attempt to, let's just go over the highlights.
They did have extensive use of graphics in the show.
Yes.
That is a plus.
Huge plus.
The problem with it, actually, we'll get to that. It came up later, really, but they had graphics on the show, and they put up the 4 men in the main event, and the deal is they don't have wrestlers and managers. They have thugs and bosses.
Yeah.
So that's what we got here. Each of the wrestlers was a thug in the main event, and they showed the rapper he is corresponding with, who was the boss.
Yes. Now, I liked when they first... I almost fell out of my seat when I saw all of this. But right there on the screen... You need a cough button over there or something. Right there on the screen, they had the boss and his thug. They told you what territory the boss was from. Whole 9 yards. The problem was... There were a lot of bosses and a lot of thugs.
Yes.
But they tried. So,
it's a step in the right direction.
A big thumbs up.
Yes. So the point of this is the 4 guys in the finals are Bestia, Homicide, Rashi Brown, and Ricky Reyes.
Yes.
So then Casey Blade got a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now here's a plus and a negative. A plus, I now know this man's name was Casey Blade. Negative, who the fuck is Casey Blade?
I think it's KS Blade.
Either
Maybe
way,
it's not.
Even better.
Maybe it's KC.
So he was jumped from behind by Eddie Kingston, who works for Melly Mel. I was very excited about all these graphics early on.
Yes.
Eddie Kingston beat up Casey Blade for a long time. He took his sneakers and I believe his drugs as well.
You know shit's on when someone steals your tennis shoes.
Yeah. And Casey Blade was talking to a guy named EC Negro on the phone. And Negro said somebody will be pissed.
Mm-hmm. There was a key here. That was Eddie Kingston told them to make sure that Homicide knew that he was coming for him.
All right. I got that in the next Kingston segment. But anyway. So then we had a boss named Billy Blue.
This was awesome.
Here is where there were too many names going too fast. Just a name would pop up. It was like pop-up video was names, and you had to try and remember them all.
Sure.
Disaster. So there was a man named Buck Child and a man named Steve Mack.
Yes.
Who they also called him Monster Mac. I believe was from the early days of ROH. Could be wrong here. But they were yelling at each other to the point where Billy Blue got annoyed at them, and he booked them against each other in a loser leaves the crew match.
Yes. The argument was over who was fucking whose bitch. But hey, they had a point of contention between the two of them,
right?
And it was going to be settled in an encounter.
There was no ambiguity here
with a stipulation.
There was nothing left to the imagination.
Yep,
we didn't have to assume anything.
I did like how Billy Blue was mostly upset because he said, and I quote, "I got to deal with my kids and my baby mamas, and now I have to deal with this bullshit? This is too much for him."
Yeah.
Awesome.
So at this point, and I will read here directly from my notes, somebody parks a car and runs into a building.
I have no idea what happened there. That's like when you're editing something together, but like you somehow miss something that you meant to edit over or edit out, and so you just see a flash of something occurring. I have no idea what happened there.
So we got the names of the announcers. I didn't write them all down, but one of them is in fact Julius Smokes.
Yeah, Sean Creedle, Robbie Moreno, and Julius Smokes. Now, I have no idea who was saying what throughout the show.
Also true.
But I do know that these were the 3 announcers.
I will say that Julius Smokes managed Homicide for many years, and he made no attempts to hide his bias. Yes. He was cheering for Homicide in his match and pissed off when he got screwed. So, Steve Mack and what the hell is it? Buck Child were having their Loser Leaves the Crew match. That's what they called it, by the way. Loser Leaves the Crew.
Loser Leaves the Crew, who fucked who's bitch match.
Yeah. So Billy Blue talked shit for both of them. They had a match. Monster Mac is probably 400 pounds at this point.
Yeah.
He can't do much.
Actually, of the two, I thought Monster Mac was significantly better.
Sure. He did at one point suplex.
Buck Child was very green.
He suplexed him onto his head. It was not the finish. Eventually, who won? Child won with the Bulldog. Mm-hmm. So they did crowd sweetening here, which is important because there's about like 30 people there. And I
was upset that Buck Child won, by the way. The wrong man won this match.
I will not argue with you, but I will say I was not blown away by either of them.
Well, it's not like either of them were all that great. But one guy looked like he was a wrestler, and the other guy looked like he was learning to wrestle.
That's probably true.
I'd prefer the wrestler having the constant job. Unless there's a possibility that Monster Mac could hook up with another crew.
Sure. Maybe get some other bitches.
Yeah.
So they did the crowd sweetening here. It was the worst crowd sweetening you've ever heard. It was not. They did not cheer more for the big spots or boo or anything. It was just a low, constant drone.
Yes.
It sounded like background chatter at a party scene in a movie, not like a sporting event in a big arena. So it just played at a constant level throughout the entire match, just a low hum, like a beehive. And that continued even after the match. So then Billy Blue said that he did not want no weak link. He ordered his men to beat up Mac. They beat him up.
I like no wink lick. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like something from Urban Wrestling.
Kinda. But they beat him up for a long time, and G's, who I actually remembered from the last show, for being the guy who, A, I really liked him in the whatever that multiple man match they did was, and B, he did the skit where he I guess it must have been Billy Blue, but he ruined his shot of getting fucked. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so G's was reluctant here, but eventually he hit a foot stomp. This went on forever.
What a foot stomp this was, by the way.
He hit a foot stomp, and the announcers were debating whether or not Mac shit his pants.
Yeah.
And here's where I said, Jesus Christ, how long has this show gone? It was 16 minutes old. The good news is after this, it went much faster. Mooney and Count were there.
It's never not fun.
Disagreed over their names last time, but here they have graphics, so I can let there be no doubt. One man is Mooney and the other is Count. And they said they were here for, guess.
That money!
And they did have a secondary cause, which was cutting heads off.
Well, if you got two goals in life.
Kingston attacked somebody with a pole.
He attacked EC Negro.
Oh, it was EC Negro. Okay, I missed it. He attacked him with a pole, beat him up, and here was where, again, he said something about tell Homicide I'm coming.
Tell Homicide he's in deep shit.
Yeah.
At which point, after being beaten up, EC Negro said, and I quote, "You fucking dick!"
Yes, he did say that.
I love this show.
That part was great. Gunplay, Torch, and Youngblood cut promos.
That was Young Breed.
Was it?
I think so.
Probably. All I know about this is I want more gunplay. And I don't mean people firing guns at each other. I mean this man talking.
You're going to get both on this show.
I suppose I will. So, yes. Gunplay. Great promo here. I have no idea what the fuck he said.
You're dead! You're done! It's over!
Yeah, it was awesome.
Repeatedly, he screamed these things.
Great.
They threatened to kill folks.
Sure.
They threatened to kill Mooney and the Count.
You know, I halfway believe they'll deliver that someday.
Yeah.
Here is where we got the Urban Wrestling Federation recap video, which is, I stand by my claim, a kidney punch to the brain. We had Melly Mel.
We had an awesome skit.
We did. Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one who liked this.
This is fucking awesome.
Melly Mel was in the driver's seat of a truck.
Yes.
An
SUV. Or something. It's enough to fit some grown men in.
And a woman.
Yeah.
So the woman was in the front seat. Eddie Kingston was in the back seat, and a fourth person was there just being quiet. And the other three were all shouting at each other and yelling. They were talking about being shot at.
Yes.
And people being potentially murdered. The woman didn't care. She only wanted to go shopping.
And clubbing. I'm in my club clothes, she said.
At which point, Melly Mel said, "You've been shopping 1 million times. We got to go 1,000,001?"
Yes.
That's fantastic. I'll have more to say about Melly Mel later.
He was so awesome. She was bitching about her club clothes, and he said, "Jesus Christ, the SATs are being shot at. Can I make a fucking living here without you being so goddamn selfish?"
Yes.
And meanwhile, she's going, "Shut the fuck up, Eddie!" And he's trying so hard not to laugh. This was the best thing on the show.
Yeah.
Way up there.
Yes, actually, I'd probably agree with that. So, we had a match. Lance Lude.
It's his name. As in Lude, like Lance Quaalude.
Yes, not a suggestive sexual risque name. The drug. Lance Lude and Bryan XL versus the SATs. Very early on here, there was another suplex onto somebody's head. Stop that, you... There was a very cool slow-motion German suplex. I like that. And eventually the Maximos won with a Spanish fly. Mm-hmm. At this point, there's a giant in the UWF. I think he works... No, he worked for the other boss in this setup. He worked for the Bryan XL boss. And the giant gets in the ring, and the giant has, I think, my favorite name for a big man ever. Big Business.
That's his name.
That's his name.
Big Business.
So he gets in the ring. He lays out the SATs when who should get in the ring but Melly Mel. Mm-hmm. Melly Mel is like a foot and a half shorter than this guy. They had a stare down. There was a confrontation, and it ended with Melly Mel clotheslining the giant over the ropes to the floor.
Melly Mel is all jacked up.
Melly Mel has the best body on the show. He's short, but he's he is all jacked up. He has a broad chest, narrow waist, big fucking arms. You know how old Melly Mel is?
I don't know.
Melly Mel is 50.
Really?
Yes.
He's kept himself in all right shape.
He has been around for a while.
About that.
He's kind of the man.
So this is the end of Big Business, by the way. His career's over.
You would think so. He still got beat up by a rapper. Mm-hmm. The other rapper here also got in the ring, and he did not look nearly as good as Melly Mel. So there was a giant brawl with like the entire roster here at this point. A Maximo and somebody else went up into the balcony, and they did like a moonsault off the balcony onto a pile, and then a big splash off the balcony into a pile. And they did these giant moves, and I don't even remember who they were, so that was stupid.
All I know is the announcers called this action by screaming, and I quote, "What the fuck?
Moonsault off the balcony, what the fuck?"
Some of the craziest shit I've ever seen. Which was true. I guess.
We got another video recap. It was just as painful to watch as the first one. And then we got the empty arena match.
Oh.
BC Killer versus Eddie Carnage.
This sucked.
This was...
You know why this sucked?
There are many reasons.
I've seen a lot of ultra-violent matches in my life. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. I've seen enough.
You've seen enough, yes.
I've seen too many, quite frankly. Listen. Everyone knows it's fake. All right? We don't think you're any tougher because you do stupid shit. We just think you're dumber. These two guys went in there, and it was all of the usual. I think the gimmick here was Urban Wrestling Federation wanted to say, we put on the most violent wrestling match in pay-per-view history. Which, goal achieved. What the hell does that mean? These guys hit each other with light tubes. They cut each other open with glass. They threw chairs at each other's heads. They took filament, mashed up filament, and poured it into open wounds. Just the kind of stuff where you watch it and you're like, you're both idiots. You're both completely stupid.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
You're going to regret this someday. Your family's going to regret this. Everybody you know is going to regret this. The answer trying to explain it, they're just trying to make the money. And it's like, really? You're not making any money for this, even in storyline, because it's a fucking empty arena match. Yeah. You're just stupid.
There were staple guns.
Staple guns to the skull.
They broke a toilet over a man's head. Not exaggerating.
No. A real glass toilet broke over a guy's head.
Ceramic toilet, yes.
Glass, ceramic, whatever. They, glass shower pane, suplex through, blood. You know, just one of those matches where we're going to hurt each other as much as humanly possible without dying. And that's going to be our match. Because we can't work.
Yes.
So
we have no talent, so we will be geeks.
Literally
geeks.
Not only was the match just a horrendous display of horrendosity, but it really pissed me off because, you know what? I don't know what's going on half the time. Especially like the first show. Like the first Urban Wrestling Federation show, not for 1 minute did I have any idea what was going on. The second show, probably 70% of the time, I had absolutely no idea what was going on. This show was a huge improvement. Largely, I knew what was going on most of the time. But even on the first show, where I had absolutely no idea what was going on, there was a charm to the Urban Wrestling Federation. And the second show in particular, there was a real charm to the Urban Wrestling Federation. Because you want to know what? It's different. I I don't know what the hell's going on, but it's different, and it's got some great characters, and it's funny, and the wrestling was pretty damn good. But the bottom line is, all three of these shows, up until this match, bottom line, I had fun watching them. I had fun watching a 1-hour professional wrestling show. This was no fun. This was no fucking fun at all. This was whatever, like, the polar opposite of fun is. That's what this was. So it pissed me off.
Yeah.
It completely ruined my enjoyment of the Urban Wrestling Federation, this fucking match right here. Yeah. All I can hope is, okay, you did it. You got it out of your system. Don't do shit like this again. This is no fun. It's 2011.
Yes.
You know, it's one thing when it's like the mid-90s.
That was my thought.
Yeah.
It's not like you're doing anything new here or creative or shocking even.
Not even that, but
it's just stupid.
You know, in the mid-90s, everyone's doing all this shit, and they super glue themselves back together, and they pop some pills, and a week later they feel fine. You know, because they're young and they're stupid. But it's 2011, okay? A lot of those guys are dead.
Right.
A lot of those guys that aren't dead are fucked up. So, you don't need to do this shit. We've all learned the lessons. This is dumb shit. So don't do it. It's not enjoyable for anybody. I mean, the number of fans that are going to enjoy a match like this, you know, you can't support a company. You just can't. So don't cater to these people. Cater to people like me that want something different. I'm not just saying me in general. I'm just saying a normal wrestling fan that wants to have fun every couple months watching something totally different on a Sunday afternoon for an hour with new guys he doesn't see anywhere else, and fucking Melly Mel. That's it. And then you've got something. But this is not the right direction at all. This sucked.
I would also say that the person who is slimy enough to enjoy this kind of match, easily slimy enough to pirate your product as well. That's just,
argument I had not thought of.
Yes.
So yeah, I thought this sucked. The finish was...
Finish, actually, I cannot lie. The finish was I don't know if impressive is the right word. It looked cool. One of them...
It was so wacky.
I guess it was Eddie Carnage. So he's got his wrist all taped up and his hand mostly taped up. And he put lighter fluid on the taped up wrist. He lit the lighter fluid on fire and hit a spinning fire forearm.
Mm-hmm. Which didn't even lead to a pin.
It just walked away.
He just hit him with this move, and then it was like, fight's over. You had the coolest move. You used fire.
That was a finish.
2 thumbs down.
Yeah. So we had our main event, as noted earlier. Bestia versus Homicide versus Ricky Reyes versus Roshe Brown. There was a point here.
As much as I hated the previous match, I fell in love with the show again when, as this main event started, Bestia, Roshe Brown, Homicide, and Ricky Reyes for the UWF Street King title. The announcers actually said that
this is the best line I've ever heard.
The winner of this match...
And by the way, I say this, Brian and I didn't watch this together.
No.
So I know what he's going to say, because there's nothing else that could be so great a line as to mention here. Was this not the best line you've ever heard?
This was the best line I've ever heard.
Okay, continue.
They said that the winner of this match would be forced to grow a second dick to accommodate all of the bitches that he would be fucking after winning the championship.
I wrote it down slightly different. The man who wins this match is going to have to grow a second dick for all the fucking he'll be doing. Either way.
I've never heard a call like that.
It was just too bad.
I've never heard a call like that in any sport.
In any walk of life.
That is the Urban Wrestling Federation that I love.
Yes,
right there.
Yes.
You cannot hear commentary like that anywhere else on the earth.
I've hung out with a lot of drunk, pilled up dudes. I've never heard anyone say, you're going to have to grow a second dick for all the fucking you'll be doing. Maybe it's because everyone knew I would not need that. But so there was a point here in this match where I actually rewound to try and count. I believe I counted 8 camera switches in 5 seconds. That was seizure-inducing. And then there were a bunch of pins in a very short time.
But, hey, as noted, Homicide was about to... he pinned Bestia first with a cop killer.
Actually, that was an Ace Crusher.
Whatever. And then Homicide... Thank you, Vinny. As Michael Cole say?
Oh, thank you, Josh. You're right.
Thank you, Vince. Homicide then went up for a top rope Hurricane Rana, but Eddie Kingston, who he has been feuding with since day one.
And they reminded us of that a few times on the show.
And last show.
Yeah.
Remember last show?
Oh, yes.
Eddie Kingston is so despondent to have lost to Homicide that he's drinking and he's talking about how his life has sucked for his whole life. What was the term he used? I've been hopeless forever.
Since I was 14 or something.
I've been hopeless forever. He's always been without hope. But he came down here and he fucked Homicide and wiped him out of the tournament. Mm-hmm. Fine booking. It came down to Reyes and Brown is a bigger, stronger man, and he speared him and pinned him.
Yep.
So yes, Rashi Brown is the new UWF heavyweight champion, and I have to admit, I realize that, in fact, in the entertainment business, you see a lot of celebrities wearing a lot of bling, and it's been lent to them. But I was very disappointed when the Urban Wrestling Federation Street King Championship was not one giant diamond. That did make me sad.
Well, that was always next time.
Maybe. But, yeah, he's the champion now. And as noted, again, don't start with show one. I may as well. Have fun. Watch all 3 shows, try and figure shit out.
I guess.
But the more of this I watch, I've watched all 3 now in order, and watching this final match here, I did conclude that the UWF is better booked than Impact for most of its 10-year run, and it's definitely better than Raw over about the past 4 months. I can't complain. We need more skits, though. That's like, you gotta strike a balance, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, on the first 2 shows, there were, like, so many skits you never had any idea what was going on. This show, they limited the skits, which was a positive because there were less, but the negative was that the skits were the funniest part of the UWF. So you gotta strike the balance, you know what I mean?
They also... Oh, go ahead.
You want funny skits, and you want good booking, and you want fine matches. And then you've got something. Listen, the Urban Wrestling Federation is unlike anything else. That's a strength.
That is true.
That's a positive. You just gotta accentuate the strengths and eliminate the weaknesses. The fucking empty arena match was the biggest weakness I've ever seen. But the skits are funny. The matches are, for the most part, fine, sometimes good, and the booking is not offensive. Although man was shot on the first show, or shot at. And we never found out what happened to the guy that was killed with the plastic bag.
See, you keep mentioning the booking. Aside...
There's very little of it.
I was going to say...
That's fine.
Your only example is the Eddie Kingston Homicide feud.
No, they had the angle at the beginning where one dude was fucking the other dude's bitch, and they got pissed off at each other, so they had a loser leaves the crew match.
I see.
Great! Fine. What the hell was the guy that got strangled by the plastic bag?
I don't have any fucking idea.
It was the one guy.
Uncle Murda?
No, he was...
I remember we had a discussion because I had no idea who it was, and you seemed to know.
God damn it. I gotta go back to my old UWF report.
You don't have to.
No, I do.
No one will care.
I care. I need to know who this was that... Because we didn't see him at all on this show, if I'm correct. So that means maybe he was killed. Which, quite frankly, deserved a follow-up. What was the guy's name?
I don't know.
He's a pretty, you know the name.
Was he a wrestler?
Here we go. Hood Justice review. Let me find the Hood Justice.
I believe it was
review.
the very last thing on the show.
Low Life Louie.
Oh, yeah.
Low Life Louie Ramos.
How could I not know that guy?
Actually, hold on a second. Low Life Louie murdered Murda 1. Was Murda 1 on this show? I don't remember him.
I don't have any fucking idea.
Oh, my God. There's something we need to follow up on.
Is Murda 1 alive?
I don't know. I didn't see him on Street King. Or if I did, he fell through the cracks. Anyway, everybody, that's the Urban Wrestling Federation. It is replaying on pay-per-view right now worldwide. I don't know about that. In America, it's replaying on pay-per-view. And it's only $14, I think. So head up there and check it out. It's It is a fun hour.
Go watch Hood Justice.
Watch Hood Justice.
Hood Justice was better.
Hood Justice
really
was better. But this show, hey, maybe you're the kind of guy that likes filament poured into an open wound. But this show was, other than that, this show was entertaining as well. But I do think that the best one they've done yet is Hood Justice. They've all had great names, though. First Blood, Hood Justice, and Street King! I can only imagine what'll be next.